So the dawn is breaking and it's a beautiful morning and the toms are firing up and you're excited. So you pull out your favorite slate call, but as you pull it out of your pocket, it slips through your fingers and falls in some tall grass that is covered with dew. And now your slate call is completely damp. What are you going to do when that happens? Well, stick around and let's talk about it. Be right back. Hey, thanks for sticking around. This is Gen 10-9, where we give common sense advice for everyday fishing and hunting situations for your average sportsman. And today we're talking about how to restore a damp slate call while you're turkey hunting. So with that in mind, here we go. So to begin with, let's talk about a few basics about spring turkey hunting. First, you should always bring more than one call in the woods when you turkey hunt. Mainly because if you lose your call or your call breaks, if you don't have a backup call, then you're pretty much done. And second, you always want to bring different types of calls into the woods. Mainly because if your primary call becomes ineffective or is just ineffective, if you have a duplicate of that same call, it's just going to be ineffective as well. So you always want to bring different types of calls in the woods. Now you should know one thing about slate calls. They don't do good when they're wet or in high humidity situations. Just get a few drops on a slate call and you're pretty much done. So, you have to keep that in mind. Slate calls are great. I use them all the time and I've taken a lot of birds. But when they get damp, they're pretty much useless. So you want to make sure that you're not relying just on slate calls. You have other calls as well. But what do you do if your call gets wet? Well, there's an easy way to restore it, and it involves two components. The first is Brillo pad. And usually when you buy a slate call, it comes with Brillo pad because that's important for tuning it. So you should have Brillo pad. And the second is non-oil-based chalk. And if you've ever bought a box call, they usually come with this type of chalk as well. But if you don't own a box call, then you can get it at a big box retailer or you can find it on the web. Just have to make sure that the chalk you're using is non-oil based. So with that out of the way, let's see how to restore a damp turkey call. Okay, here's my slate call. And in case you were interested in knowing, it's an HS Strut Grand National double slate over glass slate call. And this is a devastating call. I really like to use it a lot. When you call, make sure that you always orient your slate call the same way. Fortunately, mine has this little notch for hanging it up, so I always know to hold my slate call this way. And as you can see, it's working perfectly. And you always want to use your slate call and tune your slate call in the same exact orientation. And you never want to use circular patterns when tuning your slate call. You always want to go in the same direction because that creates more micro ridges that gives you the really good vibration. So, but I'm assuming you want to know about, how to restore a slate call. So here it is. It works perfectly. All right, so let's add some water to it. Okay, so now's the slate going to work. Might work on the edges, but it's pretty much ineffective. So you want to pull out your t-shirt and get all the excess water off of it as much as you can. But of course that still makes the slate call less effective. Now you can wait till it dries off, but if it's really humid outside, that's going to take for 15 or 20 minutes. So this is still damp. So you get your chalk that you use for your box call. And you cover the entire entire call, get it thoroughly chalked up, and that'll absorb a lot of the humidity in the water. And then you get your Brillo pad and you retune your slate call, blow off the excess chalk, and now So let's do it again, just to make the point. It's wet, real wet. So I'm going to take off the excess water, and that means I have to rub it all around, but the caul is damp now. So I take out my trusty chalk, really chalk it up, because that chalk's important to not only drying any water, but it'll absorb any oil from your hand. And then you just retune your slate caul, get all the oil off, get all the chalk off, I mean. And then there you go. Your chalk has solved your water problem. Your slate caul is back in business, and you're ready to go. So there you have it. An easy way to restore a damp slate caul. Now, if you've never owned a slate caul, never used a slate caul, or you're just getting into turkey hunting, I highly recommend that you start trying to learn how to use a slate caul. And the best thing about a slate caul is they're really easy to learn, and they're highly effective. I've bagged some big birds with this slate caul, and like I said, it's the H&S Strut Grand National Double Slate over Glass caul. And really, just a regular single slate caul is highly effective, but this one is really effective. I really like this one, and it has a lot of great versatility to it. And if you're looking for a box caul, I highly recommend that you consider getting a Quaker Boy Grand Old Master box caul. This box caul is great, and I was fortunate enough to get one that was hand-picked by Chris Kirby. So he picked me out one that's just tremendous. Now, the thing about box cauls, they're just like instruments. Some are really good, some not so good. So if you go into a store, don't think you could just buy one off the shelf that's a Grand Old Master and it's going to be a great caul. Some of them are duds. So if you go into one of those hunting shops or the big box store, see if they'll let you take it out of the package before you buy it and give it a field run. Give it a try. You know, if it doesn't sound good, don't buy it. But if it sounds great, then buy it, because you'll never be sorry. These are excellent cauls. My dad and I have been using this particular type of caul for decades. He actually lost the first one he had. It almost made us both cry. We've taken so many birds with that caul. So and I was fortunate enough, like I said, to get one that was hand-picked by one of the Kirbys. So do yourself a favor. If you're looking into a box caul, then consider getting the Quaker Boy Grand Old Master. So in the immortal words of Sean Connery, herein endeth the lesson. If you appreciate the video and learn something from it, then hit like, share, and subscribe. Hey, may the Lord send a longbeard strutting right by you. Thanks for watching, and God bless.